The Greenies inventor is at it again, a new dental treat on the market. Welcome to this special podcast courtesy of Animal Health Digest, a premier content curation service collecting and commenting on actionable information for people working in animal health. I'm Brendan Howard, and today we talk with Joe Roetheli, PhD, about something almost all dog owners buy, treats. Roetheli and his wife were the masterminds behind the Greenies dental treat before selling it to a big dog in animal health, Mars, way back in 2006. Now, this serial entrepreneur has designed a new treat, also for dogs, and also for dental health, honeycombs. After selling Greenies, most might have sailed off into the sunset, but nope. Roetheli had more ideas for palatability, as well as a honeycomb shape that he says helps scrub the tooth while dogs chew without harming their gums. So, let's find out how healthy the new treat is, why the world needed another dental treat, and how hard it is to get the Veterinary Oral Health Council stamp of approval for a gingivitis-fighting treat. But first, I have to ask, Greenies, how did this iconic treat happen in the first place? If you're an inventor, or you love them, it's always good to get re-inspired by an inventor.
Well, Greenies was almost an accident, actually. I worked for the federal government for 18 years, and we had two Samoyed dogs. Both of our sons had one, and they both had, terrible halitosis. They would literally stink you off the deck. They were outside dogs. And my wife got this crazy idea. She had bought a lot of products from vet clinics and pet stores trying to clean up the dog's breath. And she wasn't making progress. She goes, "Okay, Joe, you got to do something about this. You got to clean these dogs' breath up." And I go, "Yeah, sure. How do I know this?" I had worked for the Department of Agriculture for a number of years, and I did know a few odds and ends, but not very much, and not had done anything in the pet arena before. So I also went to my dentist here at the University of Missouri Dental School, and I was telling him about this dog problem. He said, "Well, maybe I can help you." I said, "How would that be?" He said, "Well, the protocol kind of for human products is mice or rats, dogs, and then humans." And he said, "So there's a lot of information in our library. You can't get to it, but I can. If you want, I'll just go ask the librarian to pull everything she can find on it that would seem relevant." She did, came back with about 4 inch a stack of journal articles, and I went through them. If there was something I thought was interesting, I highlighted it and put it to my right. If it wasn't, it just went off my desk and into the trash can to forever be forgotten. And so I came up with a couple things that I thought looked interesting. It was kind of like baking a cake, but no liquid ingredients allowed, okay? So I was just putting things basically from the pantry together, stirred them up, gave it to the dogs. They liked it. And so I kept doing that for, I wish we would have kept track better, but we don't know how long, a couple of weeks maybe. And Judy one morning goes, "Do you know how much better notice how much better Ivan and Katie's breath is?" And I go, "No," because, see, my objective was to get her off my back, not to fix the dogs.
The dogs didn't bother you as much, yeah.
No. So I go over and darn, we've got them about 75% cleaned up. And so we turned that into Greenies, the company. I fired Uncle Sam. We actually went 3 years without an income. My wife became known as the all-time reigning queen of rolling credit cards. And after the 3 years, it took off like this mad crazy, and it was a run that you can't dream this in your wildest dream, because we went for 5 years then with our sales growth at 75% per quarter. And that's the Greenies story.
So you made the great dental treat. The company was sold. You made some money. Why did you need to make this new dental treat, Yummy Combs? You'd already made the iconic treat. You're done. Like retirement, man.
Well, a couple things real quickly, if I may.
Sure.
One, I don't give up that easy. I'm a very passionate and persistent person. In fact, I've got a distant relative from Switzerland that he's so much more passionate and persistent than I am, that he actually ran the distance of the circumference of the world, and then he crossed the Atlantic Ocean in a 22-foot by 5-foot canoe. That's passion. No backup. Just goes out and does it. And so I wanted to do more for dogs. I love dogs, and I wanted to do more. And I think there's some things we can do and have done. And after we sold Greenies, we did have one golden opportunity that I can't pass up here. We took some money and put it in a charitable foundation. We have built about 350 homes down in Guyana, South America. By far, I mean, this isn't even close. The most gratifying work of my life. It is this off the charts. And so we've built houses and wells and schools and all kinds of things like that. And we have some in Guatemala, houses there, in Nicaragua, and we've got a couple of deep wells in Africa. And we do some pet therapy work that's really good stuff too. And so what we're really trying to do is help inspire people and help them to get where they can help themselves better. Enough on that for now.
Why another dental treat? What was the idea that inspired it? Why did you want to do it again?
I wanted to do something to clean teeth better and freshen breath. I wanted to do something about nutrition, and then I wanted to do something about safety, because safety gets way underestimated, I think, in terms of the welfare of dogs. And so I had these things. I also have about an 80 tree fruit orchard, and I was mowing out there one day back, and I don't know what year it was exactly, about 2014, 15, somewhere in there. And as I was mowing, of course, my dog has to be running at my side, and there was some bees kind of buzzing around me. And all of a sudden, I had this bolt of lightning kind of ideas out of the sky that if you can comprehend this, it's not easy. But if you could think of a hockey puck that's hexagonal, perimeter, okay, so it's kind of wide and flat. And then if I put a bee's nest, the interior of a bee's nest, the cells on top and on the bottom, I have a treat that will do a lot of things. The dogs, when they bite on this, their teeth go through both sides, okay? But not through the middle, because I don't want the teeth to go so far that they go damage the gums, because that's very dangerous to the dog, actually, from a health perspective. So what this does is these ridges allow this product to floss 360 degrees around the teeth. And if you count the number of surfaces here, on some of our sizes, it's up to 256 cleaning surfaces. And this is why it's done so well. It did very, very well in the VOHC testing, Veterinary Oral Health Council, and has the VOHC seal. And we're working on another product now that we think is going to get it also. It's just basically a slightly different formula for dogs are kind of like people. Some of them like one thing better than another. And some of them are allergic. Like this is made from chicken, our original. There are dogs that are allergic to chicken protein.
You mentioned safety, and I think a primary thing about safety about these treats, especially because people may be used to the standard treat, is it's crunchy, but it breaks up and it's just really meant to be eaten. Boom, the dog crunches it up, swallows it, eats it, done. These ones are supposed to stay in the mouth a little bit to do that cleaning. I mean, some dogs wolf down a Greenie or another dental treat, but they're not supposed to. What was the safety aspect of this, especially when it comes, I think choking is probably the primary worry.
Gulping and choking, yeah, that's the big deal. So that concept that I had, that brainstorm lightning bolt, was that if you build a hexagonal shaped product like this, and you can keep it from just being gulped down and causing a choking problem. So we were fortunate. Dr. Jan Bellows, a board-certified vet dentist, helped us with this. He measured the throat opening sizes of dogs by weight classes. Mm-hmm. So we have 5 sizes of these for different weight classes of dogs. And so the honeycombs are built so they're wider than that throat opening. So the dog can't gulp it immediately, has to chew on it, okay? But that doesn't totally solve the potential choking problems, because they could chunk off a good-sized piece and still have problems. But we went 3 steps further than that. First, this is all thin wall. If you look at this on any of the sizes of yummy combs, other than the extra large, it's a tad bigger. But other than that, the thickness of the wall is under 200 thousandths of an inch thick. So it's kind of like if you were frying a piece of lunch meat real quickly, throw it in the hot skillet, and it's just about time to turn it over because it's so thin it doesn't have to cook long. And then you go to the other side. Well, this is kind of the same way in terms of dissolving. it will dissolve much faster because the walls are thin. But in addition to that, our biochemist came up with an ingredient that we put in that causes it to dissolve very quickly. And then he came up with another well, it's actually a complex of ingredients that make it very, very slippery. It's just difficult to pick one up off the desk if it's laying on the desk and it's wet. So if it gets wet, either by water or by saliva, actually will work off of gastric juices in the stomach too, it gets real slippery. What does slippery do for the dog? If it's caught in the throat, the dog's natural instinct is to cough. We think that we can, and we have a few people that have told us that their dog has kind of done this, cough, and it's so slippery it will fly out. It will expel it out of the mouth and get rid of it. So there's really those three things that work together in addition to wider that work on safety. What a lot of people don't know, and it's really sad, but I've seen data that says about 200,000 dogs a year actually choke on items. Terribly traumatic for the dog, for the owner, and for the vet that's caring for it when that choking occurs and a blockage occurs, or whether it's a throat blockage or a bowel obstruction, either way. And so what our data shows is that this will dissolve or soften a lot 12 times faster than any of the other 15 treats that we had in the test.
Okay, so it has two honeycombs facing away from each other with a wall between them.
Right.
So the tooth doesn't go all the way through and lock in.
That's right. Yeah, because that floor that's in the center keeps the tooth from going through, and therefore it doesn't run up and damage the gum. Because here's the real problem with tartar buildup on teeth. Tartar builds up. It gets between the gum and the tooth, and little calcified pieces kind of break off and get in there between the gum and the tooth. And as the dog is chewing and things, it rubs the gum sore. The gum starts to swell. Now you have gingivitis, first stage gum disease. If it continues, it will rub it to where it bleeds. Now you have periodontal disease.
So we're cleaning the teeth. We're running it through these little honeycomb hexagons.
Yes.
Made sure it's slippery, so if it goes down, they can cough it up.
Yep.
Keeping it together long enough so they don't immediately choke. It doesn't go straight down the throat. So tell me how weight control came into your formulation, because that's a big concern with people, especially with dogs.
Well, I grew up on a farm and have been around animals and feeding animals all my life, basically, and have 3 degrees from colleges of agriculture. So that's kind of my background. And so I looked at it, and I look at it from kind of a biology perspective. First off, you have a dog is a carnivore. They basically eat meat in nature. I haven't seen many dogs out in the fields just eating grass. They'll eat a little grass from time to time, but
Right.
They don't really get a lot of their nutrition that way in nature. So I started looking at what percentage of treats are starch. I ask people now all the time, you know anybody a person that's on a diet to lose weight? And practically everybody says, well, yes. And I ask them, how many of those people that you know that are on a diet to lose weight are on a starch diet? I'm still waiting for my first response in the positive on that, because if you look at diets for people, and dogs are quite like people in terms of their digestive system, nobody goes on a starch diet to lose weight. They'll be on a protein diet of some type. So this product is basically protein. This has 47% protein. We guarantee 44%. That's what's stated on the package. But analytically, it's 47%. The starch content of this is under 7%. Now, the dogs need a little starch. There's some things about starch that are good for dogs, and they need some. But what we're doing is many products are 40% or more starch. So we've basically reversed the starch protein ratio from what most of them are.
How hard was it to get VOHC certification for tartar control? I know VOHC can be difficult to get.
Oh, it's not easy. It's very strenuous. It's got a very strict protocol, and we had the situation where with 5 sizes, we had to actually test 2 different sizes in order to get them for all. So it's a fairly long and it's very expensive. In our case, we've got between $400,000 and $500,000 wrapped up in VOHC.
Okay.
But it's by far the most validating thing that's out there. And one of my concerns always is there's a lot of marketing that goes on, and people put dental on products or cleans teeth or something like that. But does the product really do what the marketing claim says? And that's where VOHC really comes in my opinion. We showed scientifically a 46% reduction in halitosis or bad breath with the product. And that was giving the dog one appropriately sized yummy comb per day for 60 days.
And that's it for this special podcast. Thanks to our guest, Joe Roetheli. Find out more about Yummy Combs at petsbestlife.com. And find out more about he and his wife's philanthropic work at Lilred, Lilred, foundation.org. And join us next time for more conversations with smart people in animal health. You can always sign up for our newsletter at animalhealthdigest.com. And no matter where you are, what you make, or what you do, thanks for devoting some of your time today to thinking about one of the greatest industries around, animal health.